Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey. Okay, so we have a breakdown. We have done our numbers and we're so excited. Okay, so you want me to start with our days?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the days that we traveled and where we stayed. Because if you're coming from the Texas area and you're going to push towards Florida like we did, this would kind of be helpful to know all the different spots. Because we made some long days, but then on the way out there, we did take our time. So first day, we traveled for 29 days. We were gone for 29 days. So our vacation officially ends today. I'm so sad, but that's okay. And as you can tell, we're not in the boat. We're at home. Dang it. Okay, so here's where we stayed at. We left Kemah, Texas, and we went to Galveston, Texas, and we stayed at the Galveston Yacht Basin. Okay. Then we left and went to Sabine Pass, and we stayed at the Port Authority in Sabine Pass. Then we went to Intracoastal, and we stayed at their marina, which is the Shell Morgan. Okay, and it does say marina on their building.
It's a very quiet place, and
yes.
Yeah,
so we're not going to tell you all the details about it because that'd take forever. But you'll know these are the stops because these are literally the only places that you have to stay. Okay, unless you want to live on the hook, they call it. And we ain't doing all that right now. Okay, so we stayed at Intracoastal at their marina. Then we stayed in Morgan City at their city docks. Then we stayed in Houma, Louisiana at their city docks. Then we made it to New Orleans and we stayed at the Municipal Yacht Harbor. Okay, and that's in Lake Pontchartrain. Remember Lake Pontchartrain? It's in Lake Pontchartrain, okay? And then we went to Bay St. Louis and we stayed there. I didn't write down the marina name, and I'm thinking it was just
it was a city dock.
Like a municipal city dock. Yeah, very nice place. Then we went to Gulfport and we stayed at the Municipal Marina. And then Biloxi, I wrote Cadence Point. It's right in front of Golden Nugget. Okay, you'd almost think it's a Golden Nugget Marina, but it's not. I want to say it was Cadence Point. There were several of them in Biloxi that looked great, but that's where we just stayed. Then we went to Orange Beach / Gulf Shores, and we stayed at Homeport Marina, which, okay. And then we went to Perdido Key, Florida, and we stayed at A&M Marina and RV. By far my favorite place. Okay. And I don't know if it was just because it was a marina or if it was because it was in Florida. Those are the places that we stayed along the way getting there. Coming back, we stayed, of course, you could hit all those places again if you wanted to, but we left Perdido Key and we stayed in Pass Christian at their marina, which I believe was also like a municipal harbor kind of thing. And then we stayed again in New Orleans, but this time instead of going all the way down into the lake, we cut through the lake and we went through the channel, the industrial channel, and we stayed at Seabrook Marina, which is kind of right on your path, and we were great there. Then we went on to Morgan City, Intracoastal, same places there, and Sabine Pass back to Kemah, Texas. So those were the places that we stayed. Those were the kind of the route guidelines that we did.
And one thing when she's talking about the places we stayed, we only had 28, 29 days to do this trip. So we had everything we had to be at certain places, right? We gave ourselves a few, days for weather or travel time or that kind of thing. A lot of people do anchor out. We met Keith and Sandy. They we did a 140-mile day. They split it up in 3 days.
Yeah.
If we would have had time, we'd have loved to have done that, to be able to stay on the hook and only travel 40 miles. Because going out there, we had it spaced out just right. It was very comfortable. Coming back, we were in a hurry because we were running behind because of weather. So we had some hard days.
And
the last few days.
that lock, that daggone lock. Anyway, I love the lock now.
we know how to handle it.
We know how to handle the lock. Okay, so those are our ports, so to speak, of where we stayed at. Now, we've done some numbers because they are like, okay, we want to do this trip. What are we looking at? Okay,
but we had a budget to start with.
Yes.
We had a budget, and we were trying to stick to the budget. We gave a little fluff just for grins, but not like everybody else. We have to stick to a budget.
Yeah.
So
we're not rolling in the dough. He's a lineman, okay?
Hey, calm down.
And I sell Tupperware. Okay, so enough joking. All right, so you want to start with total fuel?
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe we should start with this, or should we do this first?
Let's do the miles.
Okay, total miles traveled round trip. Drum roll, please. 1,200. 1,200 miles round trip.
That's not nautical. That's just regular miles.
Okay, that's regular miles. I don't know the difference, but hey. Okay, and then gallons of fuel. Now, this is probably going to depend on your boat.
Yes.
Okay.
And it depends how fast you go too.
We'll tell them how fast and what kind of boat we have.
We have a twin Cummins 5.9 diesels, and we used to get about 1 mile per gallon. I run about 8 to 10 knots, somewhere around there. Yeah, you know, the slower, you know, if 8 or 9 is more efficient than 10, but you know, our last day I was running 14 to 17 knots trying to get home.
He's in a hurry.
But the rest, all the other days, we stuck to 8 to 10.
Okay.
You know, and because it kind of helps
That's
with
a
our fuel
comfortable
mileage.
speed too. For
Some of
our
the
boat,
trawler,
so.
if you have a trawler, you'll get better fuel mileage.
Yeah.
You won't go as fast, but you'll get better fuel mileage.
So this is just what we spent. Okay,
Yes.
so if you got a different boat, just keep that in mind. So we went 1,200 miles. We had 1,182 gallons of fuel that we used, and you know, we bought. Okay, so that's our mileage and our fuel gallons. Now total fuel spent. All right. Now fuel was different everywhere. I think the cheapest we got it was in Mississippi.
$3.30 the cheapest, and $5.60 is the most.
Yeah, and that was in Florida. But I don't mind paying it because I was in Florida. So just remember, it's going to be diesel's going to be priced different everywhere. But we spent $6,032 on fuel. Okay, now I know some of y'all just like took a step back and said, well, we're not doing that. But listen, this is our vacation, and this is what I kept thinking. If we had spent a whole month in Florida at a condo, we probably would have spent
more than that.
I'm saying more than that.
Yeah.
In my experience for going to Florida and renting condos and all that kind of fun stuff, renting homes. But so just everybody has their own. So this is not for you guys to judge us on what we spend our money on. And like he said, we have been saving for a year plus to be able to do this because we really wanted to take our boat there.
Well, and something else too with that is, you know, people travel differently. There's some people that just, you know, live on the hook and they don't dock very often. And some people, they spend extravagant amount of money. They'll do 20, 30 knots because they don't mind spending the money. Everybody's different. We're just, to us, we're kind of in the middle. You know, we still want to have fun and do some things, but we still want to save a little bit of money too.
Yeah.
So we can do a trip again.
Yeah, we're doing it again.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
so $6,000 on fuel. And we spent marina fees. We were really low on these. We were thinking we were going to spend a lot more. We only spent $1,400 on marina fees, and that's for the entire time.
Every night.
I will tell you the most expensive marina was Galveston Yacht Basin and Orange Beach. Okay, those were the most expensive ones. The city docks, those are the ways to go. They're like $30 a night. Some of them were free. Honestly, some of them were like, don't even worry about it. We're going to let you stay for free. And I'm like, God bless you. But then their average was like 40, 45, $50.
Florida was 75.
Yeah. And that place was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
They're the only place that had a pool. Okay.
You can back up to the beach and you're
Yes.
dinging on the beach.
They saw.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then miscellaneous. So we spent about $1,400 on going out to eat dinner. You guys saw we ate dinner out quite a bit, but we usually only ate out once a day because we were full.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we were busy. I did bring lots of food to cook. I did a video on that. That includes tipping the marine docks, the marine attendants, which you always should do. And, you know, Uber, getting our clothes washed. Museums. We went to tons of museums and fun stuff like that. Buying souvenirs. You guys know I finally got the shop, right? So that was $1,400 for a whole month of that is not bad in my opinion. So that's what that was spent on. And I guess that's about it. I only spent about $600 in groceries. And that was, I stocked the boat before we left. And then we did do a Instacart grocery delivery in Florida. You know, because we obviously were going to run out of some things that you just can't have enough of because it's going to go bad or whatever. But those are the money that we spent. So we also have tips. We have tips to share because this was our first long trip. And we learned some things and have some tips to share. So in a nutshell, Sean, I'll let you start with the first one.
The first one is a captain's log. That's very important. I have a log. It sits, as soon as you walk in my back door, my door, it's right there on a shelf. And we log any kind of work that we do. And on our trip, we're logging all of our stops, how many miles it was from here to our next stop, and how much fuel we used, and who to contact,
where we stayed,
and what we thought about it, and what kind of places there were, the things to do there. That way, in 3 years from now, if we want to go on that same trip or something close to it, we'll know that this place here doesn't have much to do, but it's cheap there, and you can sleep good there, and that kind of thing. It kind of helps us.
Or chime kept
Chime slide.
I dream of the chime.
But seriously, you know, I went through a gallon and a half of oil on the trip. You know, they're 98 model Cummins diesels. You know, we're gonna go through a little bit of oil. A gallon and a half. One used more than another, but I keep up with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That way I'll know what to expect on the next trip. Because if one of you guys, you know, messaged us and had questions about something, I can tell you this is who you talk to there, and this is how far it is, and we can tell you about it.
Yeah. Okay. The dinghy. You gotta have a dinghy.
Yeah. There's a lot of stops we didn't even take it off. Probably half the stops we didn't, but the ones we did take it off, it was by far the most entertaining thing. You could actually take it to restaurants. We took it to islands.
Well, we wouldn't have even got to explore Ship Island had we not had our dinghy, because you guys saw in the video, they wouldn't let us use their docks. So, and it's not their fault, but whatever, they have rules. So if we hadn't had our dinghy, we would have had to swim to shore. And that would have been scary.
Well, and our bicycles.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have 2 bicycles, and they've been around for a while. They've seen a lot of salt water.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Sean's bike is actually his dad's old bike. His dad's passed away, but that's his bike. So it's a cool story.
Yeah, but you know, that's how we get around. You know, we were at 3 or 4 miles away from the marina. And we went to Galveston one time. We rode 18 miles in one day, just seeing the sights and seeing things.
The burn.
But I have a backpack, and I take my backpack on my bike. I have a tire pump on it. I have a tube. I have crescent wrench, first aid kit, crescent wrenches. And the reason I have that stuff is because the first time we took our other boat to Galveston, we made it miles away, and I got my dad's old bike, had a flat tire. Now I have a tube. I have everything to fix a flat tire in my backpack. Because we were miles away, and it was dark, cold, and windy.
Scary.
Cindy's chain kept coming off on that same trip. So I had a crescent wrench. We went to Walmart twice on that one bike ride. And I keep every bit of that stuff.
We've learned. We're trying to help y'all. We're trying to help you not have to learn through the hard way.
So that backpack, in that backpack, I keep 2 waters in there when we leave, and I keep the key to the boat, the door, and everything is on my back. I keep everything safe.
And you know, people have asked, why don't you get electric bikes? And I'm like, well, we'd have to store them inside, because you cannot keep stuff outside your saltwater. You guys, if you don't live near saltwater, you can't. It's going to get horrible looking. So.
Also, in our videos, you saw that our bikes stayed on the front of the boat. And some places, our home marina, we should have took a picture of that. You probably see it somewhere. But we have finger piers on each side. So I can pick the bike up and hand it to Cindy onto the dock. But some of them, I had to hold the bike over the edge and hold onto the boat while I'm walking down the side of the boat holding this bike. Meanwhile, the boat's slamming up and down. On a few of them. It was sketchy a few times. And every time, what you always told me, you always said, drop the bike if you have to.
We'll get another bike. Just throw the bike in the water. I'll get another bike.
It's not worth it. Okay. Our bikes are very, very important to us.
Yeah, you got to have transportation. Yes. It's fun. Okay, apps. Okay.
Apps for weather and navigation. You need to, before you go on your trip, there's a lot of planning involved. The weather. I don't know how many apps I have for weather. I have some of them I like the windy app. I like it just for my wind. And I have another one, I forget what it's called, but you can put on what location you want, and it'll tell you how big the waves are there. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's important. You know,
when I downloaded one, because I was so scared of okay, what's going to happen, and I'll have to look and see what it says, but I get alerts. So it'll and it's so loud, it'll wake you up in the
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And she's like, there's a fog alert. So it was telling us, okay, there's a fog advisory, there's a small craft advisory. It's all about boats. It's only for boating, and it's for the water that you're close to. So you can have a home set, and then it follows you when you're traveling. So when we're asleep, if there is a small craft advisory issued for that day, or even the next hours, it's going to let you know. So it made me feel better, because I wasn't just relying on him to tell me the weather's going to be good today. So I'll have to look. I want to say it's called Shield something, but it's very alerting and lets you know.
Well, the navigation that we have on our boat, you saw in our videos, we have the big 12-inch screen, then we have the smaller 9-inch, 7-inch, I think it is. Mm-hmm. But I use my phone. And my phone, I constantly have it on avionics. That shows you the sandbars. It shows you everything. Navionics is my favorite by far. We also use Waterways. Yeah. And the Waterways app is great because you as you're following yourself along, you could or whatever that means. You'll see a bridge. You can click on that bridge. It'll tell you how high it is.
The phone number.
The phone number, how often they open, how to get open. You know, and a lot of them go through Louisiana. There's a lot of them are floating bridges, but there's a lot of them that are 73 feet. That's just a given number, I guess, but they're really tall. So you're not having to sweat about so many of these bridges, you know, because for 6 months we planned this trip, and I was worried about all these bridges. And I started clicking on them on my waterways app and I don't have to worry about all these bridges, just some of them.
Yeah. I even told him, we'll figure it out.
When she got there, she realized why I was sweating some of them.
I was like, oh my gosh. Okay.
But your apps, you know, before you
know your apps.
Before you go on a trip, you need to do some planning on that.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, take lots of clothes. Okay. So here's the thing: if you're gonna have a trip and it's not gonna be like the dead heat of summer or the freezing cold of winter, and it's like October, and you guys, I did a video the other day talking about weather is just like we're wearing sweatpants one day and shorts the next day. It's crazy. We took all of our cold clothes, like our warm clothes, out of the boat because I needed room for my summer stuff. Bathing suits.
Pretty much all of them. We still kept, you know, had a big Carhartt coat.
2 pair of pants. So I would recommend in the next trip that I do, I will always have a stash, like a bag, even if I don't unpack it, of cold winter clothing. And then I'll have all my stuff out, you know, in my closets and things like that. But I suffered. Luckily, I had my toboggans and my gloves in there because I have a little container of those in the extra bathing suit because I have left my bathing suits at home before. It was a bad time. But anyway, so lots of clothes, lots of food, lots of water. We took 10 cases of water for 29 days and we have 1 case left. Of course, we use a lot of water for coffee pots and cooking because I'm not going to use the water out of the little spigot thing because that's just, it tastes
Going
bad.
to where it came from. Yeah. Well, you know, as far as scheduling your trip too, you know, we plan our trips in October. We did October last year. Went to Corpus Christi, 240 miles one way. And we do that because you can still get in the water, maybe not chest deep, but knee deep. You can still get in the water. You're not uncomfortable because, you know, in a lot of places on the coast, it's hot. I mean, it's miserable hot in the summertime. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I want to spend 29 days, you know, sweating in the heat like that.
No.
You know, going to Galveston or going to, you know, we go to Freeport Surfside, which is 80 miles away or whatever it is. We go down there and I don't mind doing that, you know, so just for a day. But 29 days, I don't want to be that hot or that cold. So planning is very key.
And then the other tip I wrote down was to, you know, I did that video, the Coast Guard, not only because they're going to ask you for those things and you don't want to get a fine or whatever, but you need those things. You totally need those things. You need your little inner tube thing to throw out if something happens. I always tell him, if I fall off this boat, you're going to hear me. I'm going to be screaming to the top of my lungs. But you got to have those things. You never know when an emergency is going to happen. So to have all those things that you need to pass the Coast Guard, because you actually need those things. You know, you got to have life jackets and all that kind of
stuff. They require it for a reason.
Yeah, so go through and make sure you have all of the necessities that you need. And then that's it.
Well, and I've got something here about talking to people. When you get to marinas, you will meet people. People, they're very interested to find out where you're from. And
they're so nice.
Everybody's nice, and so many people. Most of them were more knowledgeable than we were, and we learned a lot from these people. They tell you, when you get to this city, this is what you need to do, and that kind of thing. I was like, you know, on that one of the last videos, you know, Keith and Sandy were a day behind us. They're planning on being home Monday or Tuesday, tomorrow, I guess. But you know, we were ahead of them, so that kind of helps. And also, next time I take a trip, I'm going to call Keith and be like, hey man, I'm going to such and such. Have you been there before?
Yeah.
And he can tell me everything about it because the guy is very knowledgeable. He lives on his boat, him and his wife both. Yeah. And that's very, very helpful.
And you know, that's good because the more people you meet, not only do you make friends, you guys saw we made tons of friends on our trip. But like Sean was just saying, we have so many more people now that we can reach out to, and
people are very helpful.
Oh,
they're
nice.
very happy to help too. They encourage you to do that.
So with that being said, if they need anything, they can ask us.
Yes, yeah.
You can ask, and
I'm keeping my captain's log, and it'll always be in my book. Every trip we do, I have my captain's log.
Yeah.
And something we didn't talk about was, you know, maybe we do this on our next video, maybe, but how we feel about our home marina versus other marinas.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about marinas.
Yeah, because every one of them are different. Yeah. You know, the city marinas are all different. Some of them are all of them we stayed in.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because we did, you know, when you travel, it makes you appreciate what you have, or makes you think, dang, we need to find somewhere new. So we'll talk about that. But thank you guys for watching. We hope that you've enjoyed. And we made this to help people, but we also made it so we could go back and always relive our memories.
That's what started it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, the next adventure of someday, you guys will have to watch.